All right, let's journey back to a time when the English language was still being hammered into shape, just like the iron in a blacksmith's forge. We're going to tell a story from those days, a tale of the shadow that vexed a smith, and the fierce spirit he had to conquer within himself.
You know how it is. When something goes wrong with our tech, we blame a glitch, a bug, a gremlin in the machine. But what if that idea is ancient? What if this story is asking us a much deeper question? What if that very first gremlin was just a reflection of us?
And so our play begins. Act 1. We're in an old Anglo-Saxon village, standing in the heat and smoke of a forge, where a master smith is about to come face to face with his biggest challenge yet.
Now, to really get this story, you've got to understand this word, gremlin. For our smith Alric, this wasn't just some old word in a book. It was a real, tangible thing. To anger, to provoke, to vex. It was a force in the world, as real as the fire he worked with every day.
So, here's Eldrick. He's a master at what he does, and he's been tasked with making this incredible sword for the local lord. But his pride keeps hitting a wall. The iron just isn't cooperating, and with every clumsy strike, his own frustration starts to, well, it starts to take on a life of its own. A fierce or grim spirit, born right there in the fire of his own temper.
Let's move into Act 2. This is where that inner turmoil starts to become something else entirely. Something real. A shadow is starting to move in the smoke.
And see, here's the twist. That frustration now has a form. It's a little creature. And it doesn't attack him with claws or teeth. Oh no, it's much more clever than that. It uses that old word, gremian. It provokes him, whispering all of his own deepest fears and frustrations right back into his ear.
And this is the truly devastating part. Alric's very identity starts to crumble. He was a master craftsman, a creator. But now he's just a man being taken apart, piece by piece. Not by some monster, but by the poison of his own agitation.
So as we crash into Act 3, we see what happens next. That anger isn't just a feeling anymore. Nope, it's become food for the very creature that he himself created.
Which brings us to another powerful Old English word, grom. It means anger, but it's so much more than that. In their world, grom is what happens when vexation becomes physical. It's the rage that you can almost see and touch. It's what happens when you let the provocation win.
And as Alric's grom boils over, the little creature has a feast. It gets stronger, bolder, literally fat on his anger. It's not just whispering anymore. Now it's out in the open, dancing on his tools, messing with the fire, even tripping him. His own anger has given this thing power over his physical world.
And here's the real tragedy of it all. Alric is fighting a war against himself, and he doesn't even know it. He's cursing the hammer, the fire, this thing, everything but the real source. He can't see that the gremlin is just a mirror, showing him the ugly reflection of a vexation he chose to hold on to. On to Act 4, the breaking point. You could feel it coming, can't you? Something has to give. The man, the blade, or the spirit that's tormenting them both.
And there it is, that awful sound. A sharp crack that cuts right through the roar of the forge and the rage in Alric's heart. The sword, the symbol of his skill, his pride, shatters.
And he just breaks. He drops his hammer and weeps. But these aren't tears of sadness. It's something emptier. The fire of his fury has burned out completely, and there's nothing left inside but a cold, hollow ache.
But right there, in that moment of total defeat, something shifts. He finally sees clearly. He looks over and sees the creature sitting on the hearth, its eyes glowing like dying coals, and he gets it. To constantly provoke, to pour your rage into everything you do, even an inanimate object, it's like you're setting a place at your own dinner table for a demon. He realizes it was always a choice.
That stunning realization brings us to Act 5, the turning point. Alric has been shattered, but now he can finally start to rebuild himself, this time with a little wisdom instead of all that pride.
So how does he do it? With a galador. It's this beautiful Old English word for a song or a charm. Instead of screaming curses at the metal, he starts to sing. A low, rhythmic song designed to soothe and create, not to break and destroy.
And this comparison is just fantastic. Look at the shift. The old way was all blind fury. The new way is precise, calm movement. The shouting is replaced by that steady, rhythmic song. And here's the most important part. He stops feeding his wrath. He sees the shadow in the corner, he acknowledges it, but he refuses to give it any more anger. He starves it, and without that fuel, it just shrinks away into nothing.
And that brings us to our final act, where the lesson from this one little forge echoes down through 1,000 years of human history.
And with this new way of working, Aldrich finally does it. He forges a perfect blade. But this sword, it isn't a trophy for his pride anymore. It's a testament to his patience. It's proof that he defeated the real enemy in the forge, which, of course, was always inside himself.
And check this out. This is the journey the word itself took. It started in the 11th century as gremlin, a conscious act, something you do. Over time, the meaning softened until, by the 20th century, it's a gremlin, some little monster outside of us that we can blame for our problems. We basically forgot that the vexation starts inside. We turned a mirror into a scapegoat.
And so this ancient story leaves us with this one powerful thought. The world is always going to try to gremlin us. There will always be things that provoke and frustrate and anger us. They're that little white waiting in the smoke. The only question that really matters is, are we going to be the ones who provide the fire?